Hi, it's Roy, Performance Engineering and Manufacturing. Today we're going to go over some drive shaft maintenance and the types of U-joints and some tips and tricks on U-bolts themselves. Alright, so the two major types of U-joints, you have a greasable style and a solid or non-greasable style. The biggest difference is, obviously, one has a Zerk fitting, it's cross-drilled, and whenever you pump grease into the Zerk fitting, it goes through the cross-drilled holes into the caps. Now, the only thing keeping these bearings away from the element is this little rubber dust shield. Now, on the solids, there's a cavity for some grease, but underneath this dust shield, there's an actual grease seal that seals off this cap from the elements. U-joint, you do have to do maintenance on it. We suggest that the U-joints get greased with every single oil change. And after a day on the trails where you are going through mud and water, you should purge the U-joint with grease, and we'll show you how to do that as well. All right, so what we have here is a typical front drive shaft in an off-road vehicle. It has what they call a double cardan CV head, tubing, a slip yoke, a stub shaft, U-joint, and I have it bolted to what would be the differential joint with U-bolts. As far as the double cardan CV head goes, there are a couple of different U-joints that you can use. The style that we use actually grease from the end of the cap. This allows you to be able to easily service these CV heads without having to take them out, articulate them, and get down if you had a regular cross-style Zerk fitting. We also have, if you roll this over and you look down in there, you're going to see a centering ball assembly, and there is a grease fitting down inside of there that greases that centering ball. This is the most common point of failure on a CV head if you do not service them with grease. On the other end, like I said, we have a stub shaft, a slip yoke, U-joint, and this is actually a differential yoke. So we have a Zerk fitting that greases the splines inside the slip yoke. And the best thing to do is take it out of a vehicle, completely compress it, pump just enough grease that you start seeing grease come out of your Welch plug. After that, you can articulate it, move it back and forth, get everything greased, move that grease around. On your U-joint itself, you'll have a Zerk fitting that you want to pump grease into until it actually purges past the seals. All right, what we have here is a typical grease gun. It has a typical end that a Zerk fitting will go into. This is what we use to service the in-style needle fittings. It simply goes onto the grease gun, you slide this down, and you're able to shoot grease directly into those fittings. Whenever you're ready to grease the U-joint, you want to snap the grease gun on, and you want to go ahead and pump grease into it, and you will see old grease will purge past the seals, and that's a good thing. You want to be able to purge the old grease, and if there's possibly any contamination from water or dirt, you want to be able to push that through the U-joint. Now, before you're done, you want to wipe all that off so it doesn't sling it everywhere, and then you want to do that to every single U-joint in your driveway. Last but not least, I want to touch on U-bolts themselves. A lot of people don't realize there is a torque spec whenever you're installing a U-bolt. It is not tighten it down as hard as you can until your shoulder pops. For a typical 1/4 inch or 5/16 U-bolt, you have anywhere from between 15 to 20 foot-pounds of torque that needs to be applied, and that comes from the Spicer website. A little bit more information about U-bolts. They're actually a one-time use item. Whenever you use a U-bolt, you should replace them with a new U-bolt. I know most people don't. I myself in the past have not. The other source of failure that we see quite a bit of is whenever you do over-torque these bolts, they will tend to crush this cap. It pushes down on the needle bearings, which causes a vibration. And more often than not, whenever we see a drive shaft that comes in, one of our inspection points is to see if these caps actually have a groove in them from being crushed by the U-strap itself. So again, this is Roy with Performance Engineering. Hopefully I've answered some questions that you may have had on some drive shaft maintenance and U-joint questions. Feel free to contact us at 636-629-6200 at Performance Engineering for all your driveline needs.